It was almost 10 years ago, a time when the Airbnb phenomenon was just beginning to sweep through our nation. I had saved up a considerable amount of money and was contemplating where to invest it. I considered stocks but found them too risky, and I lacked the confidence to venture into the real estate market. Then, a friend of mine hinted that Airbnb was quite lucrative. My interest was immediately piqued, and I wanted to learn more about how it worked. I met with my friend several times, asking various questions and listening to what he had to say about his experiences and insights. He explained in detail how he began his business. He often went on long business trips, leaving his apartment empty. Instead of letting it sit idle and wasting money on rent, he decided to convert it into a cozy, well-furnished room and list it on Airbnb. To his surprise, there was significant interest, and people quickly began booking his place. He soon made enough to cover his monthly rent. At that time, Airbnb was just beginning to emerge, and there weren't many rules and regulations in place, allowing for more freedom and flexibility. He could rent a studio apartment, furnish it nicely, and charge whatever amount he wanted per night during peak seasons. If the room was booked for about 2 weeks, it would yield a profit margin of 200% and more. It all sounded like a great idea on paper, but I had no experience operating or marketing an Airbnb, nor did I know how to manage the room. So I made a proposal to my friend. He wouldn't have to invest any money. I would cover the deposit and rent, and even share some of the profits with him. In return, he would teach me how to manage the operation for the first couple of months. We agreed on these terms and secured a well-located studio apartment that could cater to both foreign and domestic demand. Thus began my journey into the world of Airbnb, guided by my friend's expertise and fueled by my desire to make a profitable investment. At that time, if you decorated an Airbnb accommodation nicely, guests would quickly find it through social media or online communities. So, I made sure to decorate the place as luxuriously as possible, compared to nearby guest houses and other accommodations to stand apart from competitors. Before starting full-scale marketing and operations, we decided to spend a night there ourselves, testing it out to check for any issues that might come up. We stayed there as if we were actual guests, checking the bed, using the bathroom, and spending some time in the space to identify any flaws. It was that fateful night. My business partner and I ordered some dinner. We had just enough to feel pleasantly full and in good spirits as we tucked ourselves in. There was only a single-sized bed, so I let my friend sleep on the bed while I took the floor. While watching a movie, he fell asleep, but I kept tossing and turning due to the uncomfortable floor. Then I heard my friend get off the bed and walk past me. I thought he was just going to the bathroom. But then I heard the sound of the front door opening and him going outside. I wondered, where is he going in the middle of the night? Is he going home to sleep comfortably since we've checked everything? Many thoughts crossed my mind. Though I was awake, I kept my eyes closed. After about 10 minutes, when I didn't hear him return, I started to believe he had indeed left. Feeling uncomfortable sleeping on the floor, I decided to move to the bed. Just as I was about to climb in, I discovered my friend was still there on the bed. What? If my friend is still in bed, then who just went out the door? I turned on the light, and at that moment my friend suddenly woke up with a scream. Startled, I asked him what was wrong. He replied,
"Why are you still here?" "Never mind."
He explained that he had experienced sleep paralysis and began to describe what he saw. According to him, the ghost of a woman had been choking him, pressing down on his chest. He couldn't breathe, speak, or move. Unfortunately, his eyes were open, and he had to witness the horror the entire time. Blood was dripping from the ghostly woman's mouth, but when I turned on the light, the ghostly woman vanished into thin air. Still shaken, he asked me if I had opened the front door and gone outside earlier. When I assured him it wasn't me, he looked surprised and continued. He had heard the door open and assumed I had left, leaving him alone in the room. It was at that moment that the ghostly woman attacked him. He felt like he was about to die, but when the light came on, the ghost disappeared, and he was released from sleep paralysis. Feeling uneasy, we decided to switch places, with me on the bed and him on the floor. As we lay there with the light off, I couldn't sleep, feeling restless. Then, in the darkness, I heard footsteps again. I quickly turned my head and was shocked. I saw a pair of feet, without legs, walking out the front door. Terrified, I called out my friend's name. He, lying still, said,
Did you see that too?
confirming he saw the same thing. Too scared to go back to sleep, we turned on all the lights and had a discussion. We had invested a significant amount of money in the deposit and had to pay the monthly rent, so we couldn't back out. If we did, we would lose all our deposit money. After a deep breath, we decided to proceed with listing the place on Airbnb, reasoning that we won't be the ones who would be staying in this room. Besides, other guests might not have any issues. Within a few weeks, our Airbnb business took off much faster than we had anticipated, with an overwhelming number of reservations pouring in right after we opened. The prime location and sophisticated interior design of our listing attracted many foreign tourists. The income surged quickly, making our terrifying experience in this room seem almost forgotten. However, it wasn't long before we decided to shut down the Airbnb operation. What ultimately held us back were the guest reviews. After each guest checked out, we made a habit of reading their reviews. Initially, the feedback was positive, praising the accommodation and our hosting. However, at some point, we started noticing a common theme in the reviews from numerous guests. They would leave comments like,
The accommodation and host are great, but avoid staying here at night. Instead, just tour the area until morning.
and
For some reason, it was very difficult to sleep here at night.
these negative reviews began to accumulate, casting a shadow over our business. Some Japanese guests even went so far as to claim they had seen a ghost in their reviews. If it had been just one or two bad reviews, it might have been manageable. However, as these unsettling comments increased, our reservations plummeted. The reviews weren't the result of a small group of individuals or a jealous competitor trying to sabotage us with multiple malicious reviews. They were genuine accounts from previous guests from all around the world who had experienced something disturbing and felt compelled to write about it. This made potential guests wary of staying at our place, and our efforts were no longer paying off. After covering the rent, we were left with almost nothing, leading us to the difficult decision to shut down the Airbnb operation for good. Compounding our challenges, the government finally caught up with new laws and strict regulations and began to crack down on all Airbnb industries, forcing us to consider other business options. It may be possible that stories about a haunted Airbnb guest room are now circulating among foreign tourists on the internet. If you happen to come across such a rumor, it is true. It all happened in our guest room.